Okay. It says we're streaming, so I don't know what's gonna happen here. I need to go get the chat still. Wow, that was way off. Alright, let's see. Okay, that's open. Okay, so I need to go get the chat, which is right here somewhere? Yeah, right there. Okay. Why are you yelling at me? Alright, so fuck off. I don't care. Oops, wrong place. Need to pop out the chat. Like that. I have no idea how my internet is going to behave. It's been suggestive lately. Like it's been wanting to work and it hasn't been wanting to work at the same time. So I don't know what's going to happen. Alright, just drop that. Drop that. The fuck? Oh. Okay. That's my encoder. Alright, so let's put this down. So over here. About that much room for the chat. Maybe. There we go. And get this lovely thing. Okay, there we go. Hello, cutie Evie. Yeah, it's fucking cold. Let me back that up just a teensy bit. Damn it. Okay, there we go. Okay. Is everything good? Can it be heard okay? Am I fine? Should be. I feel like I'm forgetting something. What am I forgetting? I don't know. No, I'm not getting a sick cold. I've already had that. It's cold as in temperature cold. Okay, I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I don't know what I'd be forgetting. Honestly. Whatever. Guess we're going. Alright, so let's go. Okay, so I've already done all the... Shut up. I've already done all I need to do for effects base, so I'm basically cleaning up the audio. I think that I do not like this new version of Audacity at all. It sucks. Okay, I have cleaned that up. Go! Alright, recording for Horror Dusk again. This will be the second. Alright, recording for Horror Dusk again. This will be the second try. So, let's do this bitch. Okay. Shadows grew longer. Okay, so... yeah, this was the second time I had to record this. Oh man, this is gonna be a doozy. Seeing this updated version of Audacity is just totally different. Oh, I knew I was forgetting something. I gotta go like this. I gotta go like... Wow, my voice is just really being an asshole. If my internet suddenly flunks, like, slows down, there's really nothing I can do about that. I mean, our internet has been tacky as shit. Okay. Why does it say... Oh, I know why. Okay, so let me go fix that real quickly. Oops, forgot. I forgot that was a thing. Oh, I gotta go here. So I gotta do this. Whoopsies. Sorry about that. Alright, so this is an editing live stream. Live stream. We're just gonna put it as editing live stream. Category, whatever. I don't care. Alright, so now that's fixed. Alright. Thank God. Let me do a refresh. Make sure that's correct. Where's the refresh button? Oh, never mind. Okay, so I should be good as far as like audio-wise and all that stuff. Oh, that loveliness. Okay, so it's correct. Okay, so to get more people joining in here, we are gonna go like, maybe, if my internet will fucking work, all that stuff. Oh, that loveliness. Okay, there we go. Okay, now we're good. Now we're good. Fucking hell. Alright. Just drop that. Drop that. Alright. Shadows grew longer against the ground as the sun dipped ever lower beyond the horizon, casting hues of fiery oranges and reds amongst the scattered clouds. On the opposite side of the sky, pinpricks of white light against the silken black backdrop of the night began twinkling into existence. From the farmhouse's top floor at Sweet Apple Acres, From the farm... Let me take a drink of water real quickly. Should have done that before I started. Yep. Should have.
Oh yeah, that's better. Much better tasting water. Ugh.
From the farmhouse's top floor at Sweet Apple Acres, Applebloom glanced forlornly. Like, it's been a while since I actually heard this, so, yeah, let me explain what that water tasted like. It tasted like dust. Ugh. Horrible. From the farmhouse... Oh, wow, that's loud. I can fix that later on. Right now, we're just cleaning up breaths, lip smacks, mess ups. Okay, is this the right one? Yes, it is. I do not like this new version of freaking Audacity. It sucks. Because normally when you did this thing, like you highlight stuff, it would be that color right there. Like, it would normally be this color, the dark color. Now it's light, so I have to think backwards into existence. Great. From the farmhouse's top floor at Sweet Apple Acres, Applebloom glanced forlornly out across the farm. She grumbled and flopped back on the bed as a single word pinballed around inside of her head. Okay. Applebloom line? That's fine. Stuck in her bedroom while the whole family was out having a wonderful time with Rarity and her family, Applebloom found herself wishing that Applejack had not taken Winona with her. No, that was bad. Applebloom found herself wishing that Applebloom had not taken Winona with her. Wait, what? Stuck in her bedroom while the whole family was out having a wonderful time with Rarity and her family, Applebloom found herself wishing that Applejack had not taken Winona with her. No, that was bad. Applebloom found herself wishing that Applebloom had not taken Winona. I don't... considering looking at the audio tracks right in front of this, I'm guessing that's the right take. I don't know. Ugh, it's this crap that just is the most annoying part of being a content creator. Okay. Stuck in her bedroom while the whole family was out having a... Crap, I don't know where it starts. Stuck in her bedroom... We're just gonna see if that's it. Applebloom found herself wishing that Applebloom had not taken Winona with... Oh, shit, I made a mistake. Hopefully I fixed this. Oh, man, if I mess up here. Because if you listen, you hear, I don't know if... Can you guys hear that? You should be able to. Whatever. But pretty much, the mistake I just made was I said Applebloom twice. It's supposed to be Applejack. I hope I said that correct. Applebloom found herself wishing that Applebloom had not taken Winona with her. She sighed regretfully. She had been tasked... She sighed regretfully. She... Oh, fucking dicks. Ah! So I gotta go record that real quickly. Damn it. Oh, hey, Thomas. Oh, I hate when I do that. Wait a minute. What is going on here? I need to check something real quickly. Stuck in her bedroom while the whole family was out having a wonderful time with Rarity and her family, Applebloom found herself wishing that Applejack had not taken Winona with her. I'm gonna take that first take. It sounds fine to me. It just sounded like shit when I first did it. I don't know why. Well, then again, Audacity was being a jackass, so it could possibly be that. Okay. Let's... Thomas, you want to join the stream?
Taken Winona with her. Apple Bloom found herself wishing that Apple Bloom had not...
Cannot believe I made that mistake. Whoops. Oopsie poopsie loopsie doopsies. Okay. Alright, I want to... That's going to be an Apple Bloom line. I forgot to say that again. Good Lord almighty. What was wrong with me? Then again, it was late, so could be that. I don't know. Alright, I'll just call you on Skype. I don't know how much this is going to affect my
Had not taken Winona with her.
Oh, there's a breath off the end of that. I need to get rid of that nastiness. It really doesn't matter right here because this is where a line's going to go anyways. I think. I need to get the story open. Okay. Forgetting another thing. Man, Sparrow, you're off task today. Big time. Okay, I don't need that open. Okay, so what am I doing? Fin fiction. Come on. You were being nice just a minute ago. Be nice again. Thank you. Alright, that would be under my favorites. Is this where I put all the ones that I'm normally gonna read? So you can get a little peek at what I have coming in the future, sorta. Let's see. No. Okay, well, what am I looking for? Horror at Dusk. Okay. I can say this because this is the Month of Macabre stuff. The Month of Macabre stuff's done, did, and ready to go. 5 days, guys. 5 days. There it is. Okay, I need to get this open and I need to look at it. Alright. From the farmhouse. Okay, that will be... What is going on here? Oh boy. Man, there might be a lot more trouble than I thought. Then again, Audacity was being a prick that night.
Applejack had not taken Winona with her.
Okay, let me back this up. Come on, work with me. Okay, what is this?
Line.
Okay, that's Apple Bloom line.
Stuck in her bedroom while the whole family was out having a wonderful time with Rarity and her family, Apple Bloom found herself wishing that Applejack had not taken Winona with her.
Okay, now let me look again. It was stuck in her bedroom, Winona with her. Okay, I got that. Okay, that was luck. Pure, unadulterated luck. That was stupid. Okay, I guess Thomas is going to be joining us. Why not? Maybe if Skype will be nice. It might be having withdrawals.
Kids.
Okay, so I think it's good to go. Oh wait, I don't want to use my my camera. Is it still going through OBS? Yes, it is. Okay, we're fine. All right, so when Skype decides to connect, it'd be nice instead of an asshole. Oh wow.
She sighed regretfully. She had been tasked...
Okay.
Hello?
Hello, how are you? I'd add Mark, but I think he is at work if I'm not mistaken. Let's see, 1, 7, 8. Yeah, he would be at work. He's got, I think, 2 more hours. Okay,
communist guy high in that story, man. Yeah. What's better to use for a laptop? A laptop or PC for videos depends on videos and what type of videos and the video quality you want. Either works really, and it depends on the specifications of your actual PC, laptop, whatever. Like this laptop is it has 4 gigabytes. Yeah, 4 gigabytes of RAM basically, and has it's a 1 terabyte hard drive. It's nothing fancy dancy like Mark's PC, which has 16 gigabytes, something like that.
God knows.
All right, so let's see. Got to go. Work time later. All right. Hello, Bilkis Habid. 32 gigabytes. I was close. That was close. All right, so. All right, back to this.
So what's the story you're editing?
I can't believe I accidentally made that mistake with Apple Bloom. I had a feeling that was gonna happen. Also, kind of reminds me of when Mark fucked up.
It's like we all do.
Apple Bloom had to listen to Apple Bloom.
Especially in our reactions.
God damn it. Alright, anyways. She sighed regretfully. She had been tasked. She sighed regretfully.
28 months later? Really?
I'm actually glad that happened. Okay, so that. She sighed regretfully. She'd been tasked with cleaning up the barn. Yes, I can.
Oh, good. Like
she sighed regretfully. She'd been tasked with cleaning up the barn. There's some unrealisticness to the story as well, so yeah, it's kind of meh, but it's also a good story. I liked it. Kind of reminded me a little bit of Let Her In, but it's different. She sighed regretfully. She had been tasked with cleaning up the barn that day. It had been dark within the structure, and none of the oil lamps were around. That was kind of choppy. This one is called Horror Dusk. This has nothing to do with Month Macabre. Month Macabre stuff, it's good to go.
Okay.
It's on, it's scheduled to go. It had been dark within the structure, and none of the oil lamps were around. Her mind had been preoccupied on her evening with Sweetie, thus she hadn't been thinking too clearly. She tried starting a small fire in the center of the barn with some straw in order to have some light. It would have gotten out of control if Big Mac hadn't been, at that moment, returning some of the lamps. No matter how many times she apologized for the incident, it was all in vain.
Q&A live stream
that's Applejack.
On my birthday, and
Applejack line. Okay. To simplify this, I'm going to go like this, so that there's not that many mess up. Sorry. Save. Finish at 11 p.m. so that will be for my time. Out of curiosity, did you take any computer subjects when you were in school? Me, the most I actually took was computer technology, but it wasn't for stuff like this. It was mainly for like learning how to do simple stuff in like Microsoft Paint, how to make a website. I couldn't even give you an idea of how to make a website. Yeah, that's pretty much the only big thing that I ever took. It's not even like a official like college class or anything like that. But nope, I never took classes for editing. I never took classes for computers, you know, heavy computer technology stuff. No.
It was more of a teach yourself, wasn't it?
Pretty much. It came with experience.
Yeah.
Alright, so this is Applejack's line. Applejack line, I think.
My special son pony.
Like, I honestly couldn't tell if this was an Applejack line. It doesn't say, but just from the sound of it, it kind of sounds like her, Lil Missy.
You daughter, Missy? What you done this time?
Apple Bloom rolled onto her back and let her tail sulkily. Oh God. Apple Bloom rolled onto her back and let her tail. Apple Bloom rolled onto her back and. This was a tricky one. Like, let me explain why I keep messing up here. Enunciation. Oh my God.
That sounded a bit French Blue Blood then.
Enunciation.
That was a tricky one.
So what's up? Happy early Halloween. Oh, it's way early. it's too early for Halloween. But I do have... Oh, wait, excuse me. I lied. 6 days until my first one comes out. I think you guys are going to be very happy. Thomas, don't say anything because you know what's coming out on the 10th.
Yes.
Mark reacted to the final part of my Halloween special, and holy shit. He was fired up. Okay. Apple Bloom rolled onto her back and let her tail flop sulkily over the side of the bed. Sighing, she once more looked out the window. The sun was gone now, leaving behind a dying... The sun was gone now, leaving behind a dying yellow and orange glow in the sky above. Okay. I don't know why I struggled right there, but I did. For some damn reason. Sighing, she once more looked out the window. The sun was gone now, leaving behind a dying... a dying... I bet it's something spoopy. I will give you guys a hint on one thing this month. These are really not very spoopy stories, actually. They're actually pretty tragic. Like grimdark.
Is that even a word?
It's a fancy way of saying spooky. Spoopy.
Oh, right, I never heard that one before.
Also, I tried out Dungeon Nightmares just to test it. Oh my god, the ads, so that probably won't be a thing, but we'll see. Tor looked out the window. The sun was gone now, leaving behind a dying yellow and orange glow in the sky above. The dark blues and purples of the night were slowly inching into place. Off in the distance, lights were winkling.
But again, my...
Lights were winkling. So how did you learn to do this software editing if you didn't learn it at school? Experience. I learned it pure experience. Just practice, practice, experience. I also had some friends that helped me out. Yeah, that was probably Ashley and what's her face? Lauren. Hello, Thomas. Factory Untold. Okay. Off in the distance, lights were winkling. No, it's twinkling. Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
Oh, I wonder what you are.
Slowly inching into place. Off in the distance, lights were winking to life. Nah, I need to bring that back. What do you think of DC Dark Knight's metal? What? Are you talking about Bat Metal? Slowly
Batman,
inching into place.
Wonder Woman.
Off in the distance, lights were winking to life one by one. Apple Bloom murmured with disappointment. Nothing of interest was visible. Nothing of interest was visible. Okay.
Detective Comics coming in your way.
Nothing of interest was Nothing of interest was
Which explains Batman as a scientist and like a detective.
I don't know what you're talking about then. And the phone is ringing. I hope my parents get that.
That's what
Murmured
DC
with disappointment.
Detective Comics.
Nothing of interest was visible. She looked towards the horizon. The dusk light was almost gone. The few clouds that remained looked almost pitch black, practically invisible against the darkened sky. Once the sun was gone entirely, anything of interest would be almost impossible to discern. Okay. Apple Bloom frowned, squinting hard against the... Apple Bloom frowned. Apple Bloom frowned, squinting hard against the... I don't know why that happens, but it happens. I just... Bleh.
Guess the blood.
My voice just suddenly dies.
It's like make me sick.
I mean, with my pacemaker, yeah, it's a little hard sometimes. You might want to look up Dark Knight's Metal. It basically features the dark multiverse and the evil alternate versions of Batman. Never heard about this shit. So who's going to watch the new Halloween movie? God, I've seen so many Halloween remakes. It's ridiculous. But I heard from the director himself that Wes Craven approved of it, who was the creator of the original Halloween. So, maybe. Not necessarily going to see it in theaters. To discern. Apple Bloom frowned, squinting hard against the fading orange backdrop of the horizon. In the distance, a thick bog bank had formed, and it was slowly creeping its way over the...
Wait, what? I said bog bank.
...to discern. Apple Bloom frowned, squinting hard against the fading orange backdrop of the horizon. In the distance, a thick bog bank had formed, and it was slowly creeping its way over the farm. Apple Bloom line.
Shit, and they didn't fix it. Oh well. Okay. Like the Batman Who Laughs, the Dawnbreaker, the Devastator, never heard of it. I'm not a DC fan. Well, I am a DC fan, but I'm not heavy into that stuff.
Apple Bloom. Whoa. Apple Bloom thought. In preparation for the oncoming cold.
We do like the Dark Batman trilogy, though.
Okay, I gotta be very open-eared here.
Apple Bloom line.
Okay, that's fine.
Apple Bloom thought. In preparation for the oncoming cold, she fished out a scarf from the... In
preparation for the black. Just black.
Blah.
Should have ate before this, but that's okay.
Apple Bloom thought. In preparation for the oncoming cold, she fished out a scarf from a dress...
Oh, no. That's not necessarily funny enough to put on a blooper reel. I need to get to work on that fucking blooper reel so that when it comes 5K, I'm ready to go. Okay, so that's blah, blah, blah. Oh, Jesus Christ. Also, for anybody who's curious, the guy in the call right now, that's who played Dr. Malcolm Tum and Welcome to the Family. That's spooky voice. And he will be playing him in another upcoming fic that I've got planned. I just need to get my ass on writing it.
In preparation for the oncoming cold, she fished out a scarf from a drawer and wrapped it around her neck. She cast one last look at the...
I will
she cast one last...
send you those messages.
Excuse me.
She cast one...
Just look up your Facebook
She cast one last look at the fog before shutting and locking the window.
Briefcase messages.
She went from room to room, methodically securing all windows before heading downstairs to repeat the same process. The air was decidedly colder when she finished.
Huh?
For good measure.
Oh. Yeah, it's probably when I was scrolling down or something. That's not what happens when these happen.
To repeat the same process. The air was decidedly colder when she finished. For good measure, Apple Bloom decided to...
I can back that up.
Decidedly colder when she finished.
I'm so nervous about the
For good
sequel, by the
measure,
way.
Apple Bloom decided to throw a couple logs on top of the dying embers of the fire.
last performance I did
Wow,
of
that
him.
was bad. Apple Bloom... For good measure, Apple Bloom... Bleh. For good measure, Apple Bloom decided to throw...
From that... bleh. Okay, for good measure, I think that's where it is.
For good measure...
Come on.
For good measure, Apple Bloom decided to throw a couple logs on top of the dying embers of the fire. Feeling a little hungry and maybe hoping a light snack would help warm her up a bit, she headed to the kitchen. In a short while, she had a small plate of sandwiches prepared, which she carried into the living room before she jumped onto the couch and nestled into it. The light from the flickering fire filled the room, casting dancing shadows on the wall behind her as she ate, the crackling of the fire her only companion.
Okay. This is actually going a lot more better than I thought it would. Yay.
Her only companion. Apple Bloom shivered at...
Okay, I need to bring that a little closer.
Her only companion. Apple Bloom shivered as she wrapped the scarf tire... Apple Bloom shivered as she wrapped the scarf tighter around herself. Tighter, not tire. Apple Bloom shivered as she wrapped the scarf tighter around herself, quickly hopping off the couch to add another log to the fire.
Okay. Now I just gotta go back all the way to wherever this started.
Apple Bloom shivered as she wrapped the scarf tire.
Yeah, it's right there. See, I keep thinking that I'm going to delete all of, like, this. Because it's not highlighted in light.
only companion. Apple Bloom shivered as she wrapped the scarf tighter around herself. Quickly hopping off the couch to add another log to the fire, she paused when she noticed condensation forming on the windows. She mouthed a silent, Apple Bloom line,
Okay.
before trotting over to investigate. Her hoof touched the window and came away wet. Quickly shaking the water off, she wiped a clear view of the outside world across the window and pressed her face up against the glass. The lights from the front porch illuminated the world outside, allowing Apple Bloom to see that the fog... that was a long sentence. The lights from the front...
Oh man, I remember I messed up a lot right here.
The lights from the front porch illuminated the world outside.
Okay, I have no idea.
The lights from the front porch illuminated the world outside, allowing Apple Bloom to see that the fucking dicks. The lights from the front porch illuminated the world outside, allowing Apple Bloom to see the fog that now wafted to the fence that surrounded the house.
Is that a little choppy to me?
The lights from the front porch that surrounded the house. Dang it. Almost had it. The lights from the front porch illuminated the world outside, allowing Apple Bloom to see the fog that now wafted the... No. Allowing Apple Bloom to... No.
Allowing Apple Bloom to...
The lights from the front porch illuminated the world outside, allowing Apple Bloom to see the fog that now wafted to the fence that surrounded the house.
Fucking hell. Okay, yeah, that was very, very choppy. Choppy. Okay.
The lights from the front porch illuminated the world...
Tommy! I know you have no teeth, but still...
Save. By the way, Mark. By the way, Thomas, you are a moderator of the chat, which means you can delete comments and all that stuff.
Oh, okay.
Will you read a recording of a missing pony, a fanfic I made? I looked at it, and unfortunately, no. No, I don't read comics.
Face up against the glass. The lights from the front porch illuminated the world outside, allowing Apple Bloom to see the fog that now wafted to the fence that surrounded the house. That indeed had sprung up rather quickly. She hurried back into the kitchen where the family... That indeed had sprung up rather quickly. She hurried back...
Oh my god. This is when I hate... This is what I hate. When I mess up like this and I can't Yeah.
That indeed had sprung up rather quickly.
Because the way it's being said right here is... That sprung up rather quickly. You know, like that.
That indeed had sprung up rather quickly. She hurried back into the kitchen where the family kept the flashlights. Snagging one, she flicked it on and off a few times to see if it was still functional.
Ah!
She hurried back into the kitchen where the family kept the flashlights. Snagging one.
What the hell? Okay, is this the mess up?
She hurried back to...
Yep.
She hurried back into the kitchen where the family kept the flashlights. Snagging one, she flicked it on and off a few times to see if it was still functional.
Do I just go into the live stream?
She'd better check on the animals and make sure...
Delete bad comments or something.
Yeah, there's a bad comment. I want you to delete it.
She hurried back into the kitchen where the family kept the flashlights. Snagging one, she flicked it on and off a few times to see if it was still functional. She'd better check on the animals and make sure...
Okay, I remember I messed up a lot right here.
She'd better check on the animals and make sure... She'd better check on the animals and make sure they were alright. The air chilled Apple Bloom to the bone as she...
Okay, so I need to... I keep thinking I'm gonna delete that. This is really
I'm getting there now.
Playing with my mind.
She'd better check on the animals and make sure they were alright. The air chilled Apple Bloom to the bone as she stepped outside. The grass was wet and cold as she charged toward... Oh god.
Oh gosh. Yeah, this was a part that I messed up on a lot.
The air chilled Apple Bloom to the bone as she stepped outside. The grass was wet and cold as she charged toward... Oh god. The grass was wet and cold as she charged to... Oh my god. The grass was wet and cold as she charged across... The air chilled Apple...
Okay, so it's from the grass.
So question, which of the stories you've read would you live in? Just asking. I wouldn't want to live in any of them because... Considering what I read, I would not want to be in any of those stories.
The grass was wet and cold as she charged toward... Oh god. The grass was wet and cold as she charged... Oh my god. The grass was wet and cold as she charged across the farm. Thin tendrils of encroaching fog lazily flowed around her hooves and lapped at her legs. Despite her growing...
Okay, is this correct? Yeah...
I don't think so, no. I need this line. Okay, delete all that. The grass was wet and cold as she charged across the farm.
Comment a question, or was it just
thin tendrils of encroaching fog lazily flowed around her hooves and lapped at her legs. Despite her growing unease... Thin tendrils of encroaching fog lazily flowed around her hooves and lapped at her legs. Despite her growing unease, Apple Bloom reminded herself that the sooner she finished, the sooner she... Apple Bloom reminded herself that the sooner she finished, the sooner she could get back inside.
Sparrow, do you remember who said the bad comment?
Voice.
Huh?
Do you remember who said the bad comment?
No, I'm just saying you're a moderator, and if a bad comment does come up, you can delete it. Or whatever. Apple
Bloom reminded herself that the sooner she finished, the sooner she could get back inside. No. Voice, quit fucking cracking now. Apple Bloom reminded herself that the sooner she finished, the sooner she could get back inside. The animals all seemed fine.
Okay. So there's the right take. Okay, I don't know where I'm starting here.
Apple Bloom reminded herself that the sooner she finished, the sooner she...
Yeah, I rushed way too fast there. But sometimes that happens when you run into a line and you just don't know that you're supposed to slow down.
Despite her growing unease, Apple Bloom reminded herself that the sooner she finished, the sooner she could get back inside. The animals all seemed fine, huddling together inside their various shelters for warmth. Although she could hear nothing but the sounds of her hoof steps, there was an aching feeling that... God damn it. Although she could hear nothing but the...
That's okay, I wanted to redo that anyways. Okay.
For warmth. Although she could hear nothing but the sounds of her hoof steps, there was this aching feeling that she was being followed. Yet upon looking over her shoulder, found nothing. That didn't stop her from sprinting back towards the house once she was finished. Reaching the porch, she wiped her hoofs on the welcome mat. That didn't stop her from sprinting back towards the house once she was finished. Reaching the porch, she wiped her hoofs on the welcome mat before turning to gaze out. Bleh.
I don't know where we're gonna start here.
Reaching the porch, she wiped her hoofs on the welcome mat before turning to gaze out. Bleh. Reaching the porch, she wiped her hoofs on the welcome mat before turning to gaze out over the farm one last time.
Factory Untold
beyond the gate.
Okay, that's fine.
Sparrow, how many mistakes have you made?
Too many.
Reaching the porch, she wiped her hoofs on the welcome mat before turning to gaze out over the farm one last time. Beyond the gate. Beyond the gate, the fog covered the ground as far as she could... Beyond the gate, the fog covered the ground as far as she could see.
Stormlit says,
beyond the gate,
question,
the fog
and it
covered...
goes to those who want to answer, which anime would you live in, and also get anime power of that world.
Beyond...
I really wouldn't even want to live in an anime, honestly, because... Yeah...
Beyond the gate, the cover...
Okay, I can just... That.
Beyond the gate, the fog covered the ground as far as she could see over the farm one last time. Beyond the gate, the fog covered the ground as far as she could see, completely cloaking the edge of the apple orchard within the white. Completely cloaking the edge of the apple orchard within a white veil. Beyond that, the hills were covered with a...
family.
Beyond that, the...
If you've watched that series. if you watched that fanfic.
Completely cloaking the edge of the apple orchard within the what?
I'm in that, so...
Completely cloaking the edge of the apple orchard within a white veil. Beyond that, the hills were covered with a... Beyond that, the hills were covered with a sheet of white that spilled down the slopes like river rapids in slow motion.
Jesus Christ.
Beyond that, the hills were covered with a...
Delete. Whoa, why is there such a long pause here? Huh? Oh shit, did I hit end? Yes, I did. God damn it. I hate when I do that. Whoever's bright idea was to put the fucking delete button next to the end button, or next to the home button, I want to kill you. At the house. That indeed had sprung up rather quickly. She hurried back into the kitchen. She'd better check on the animals and make sure.
I'm the voice
Then tendrils of encroaching fog lazily flowed around outside.
To the family.
The animals all seemed fine, huddling, being followed.
I'm just one of.
Yet upon looking over her shoulder,
artists.
found nothing. On the welcome mat before turning to gaze out over the farm one last time. Beyond the gate, the fog covered the ground as far as she could see. Beyond that, the hills were covered with a sheet of white. Okay, that's fine. Okay, I'm on the delete button. Good. The one reading the comments, that's Thomas. Sparrow, has the guy reading the comments seen Dark Knight's Metal? You can't hear him? Let me check something real quickly. Thomas, talk.
Hi. Hello.
You should be fine on audio because you're coming through on the desktop.
Dr. Malcolm is waiting.
Beyond that, the hills were covered with a sheet of white that spilled down the slopes like river rapids in slow motion. She couldn't tell if the fog had... Okay, so... Get rid of that nasty little sucker. I do have a question that I've been wondering on. Who or what was truth? In the grimdark, no glimmer of hope. Huh?
Come again?
I don't understand. I've never written anything called a no glimmer of hope. I've written a glimmer of hope, which was a romance story. It's in slow motion. She couldn't tell if the fog had reached the town, and considering how freezing it was out here, she wasn't too keen on opening a window to confirm that.
What to do with Starlight Glimmer?
It was then she was struck by a... It was then that Apple Bloom knew she had fucked up. God damn it. Such a freaking dead meme. A window to confirm that. It was then she was struck by a thought. What if the town was aware of this fog? Surely the Pegasi would know about it. If that were the case, they would alert Applejack. Her whole family would come right home. Her whole family would come right home the instant they heard about. Jesus. The hell was that? It features Starlight Glimmer. I heard a fanfic reading of it by Scribbler. No. If that were the case, they would alert Applejack. Her whole family would come right home the instant they heard about this and make sure she was alright. Who knows? Maybe Rarity would tag along and bring Sweetie Belle as well. Smiling, she turned about and trotted back inside.
Ponytails.
Sweetie Belle as well. Smiling, she turned about and trotted back inside. She locked the front door and hurried back to the fireplace and her sandwiches, making sure to keep an ear turned towards the front door for when the family returned.
With Applejack, but it kind of reminded her of her past relationship with.
Making sure to keep an ear turned back to the fireplace and her sandwiches, making sure to keep an ear turned towards the front door for when the family returned. She finished off her light snack and turned to look up at the clock on the wall. Okay. She finished off her dear. Okay, let's save. Family returned. She finished off her light snack and turned to look up at the clock on the wall. An incessant pounding on the front door caught her off guard, and she turned back. An incessant An incessant pounding on the front door caught her off guard, and she turned towards it with a startle.
Okay.
An incessant pounding on the front door caught her off guard, and she turned back.
An incessant pounding.
An incessant pounding on the front door caught her off guard, and she turned towards it with a startle. It briefly paused before starting back up again. It briefly paused before starting up again. The family must be back.
Okay. No, it's something much more worse, Apple Bloom.
It briefly paused before starting back up again.
Calm down, Blythe.
Yeah.
It briefly paused before starting up again. The family must be back.
Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit more pause there, so Control C. Where did my mouse go? There it is.
I have never heard of
We paused before starting up again.
I don't play games
The family
anymore.
must be back.
I'm not very much of a gamer.
What does the guy reading the comments think of God of War 4? The game featuring Kratos and his son. Oh god. Atreus or something like that? I don't know. Norse mythology.
I'm just technically the guy now. Okay.
Technically, you are correct.
Oh yes, actually, technically, we just met. Shut up!
I actually liked... Whoa!
That's voice crack there.
I liked what I saw of God of War 4. I found it actually really cool that they went with a whole different kind of storyline and all that stuff, especially with the son. Also, the beam that came out of it. Boy. Boy.
It briefly paused before starting up again. The family must be back.
Okay.
Apple Bloom line?
Alright, that's fine.
She hollered, jumping down from the couch and trotting towards the front door. She paused halfway. Her family had a key. If they found the front door locked, they'd just unlock it.
Or just a ninja
trotting towards the front door. She paused halfway.
No, I don't think it's... Is it to do with hackers?
Let me add a little bit more pause.
Towards the front door. She paused halfway. Her family had a key. If they found the front door locked...
Okay, for one, I'm gonna clean that up. Why is my voice cracking like an asshole?
Well, in the survey, it's just about somebody who does a questionnaire on Equestria Daily, and so.
Oh, I was wondering on the survey stories if it is a dark magic thing or just ninja, whatever that is, hackers. Stay tuned to find out. That's pretty much what the next story is going to reveal. It's going to be the antagonist's backstory. Okay.
Heading towards the front door. She paused halfway. Her family had a key. If they found the front door locked, they'd just unlock it. Why would they be banging at the door?
Are you the antagonist
now alert.
Or am I the
she
antagonist?
Cautiously. Now alert. Now alert. She cautiously Now alert. She cautiously reached the front. Now alert. She cautiously reached the front door and lifted up the curtain. Oh my fucking god. Now alert. She cautiously reached the front door and lifted up the curtain on the window, peering out.
Okay. Okay, let's see.
Why would they be banging at the door? Now alert. She cautiously...
And that's what Molestia said. I'm not talking about I'm not talking about this story. I'm saying stay tuned on the channel to find out. That's what I mean.
Why would they be banging at the door? Now alert. She cautiously reached the front door and lifted up the curtain on the window, peering out. Her eyes widened in surprise. A little filly was standing outside just at the bottom of the porch. Her face was...
That really ticks me off when people write it like that. Ugh.
Okay.
So annoying.
Okay, is Apple Bloom? Okay, blah blah blah.
Well, I guess I need to put play roundabout by yes and put in the corner to be continued. Oh, God. That is so overly done. Prize. A little filly was standing outside, just at the bottom of the porch. Her face was obscured by a long red mane, though Applebloom could see she had a pretty-looking pink...
The hell was that?
Now, Nose, can we get along, please?
Now, Nose, can we get along, please?
Now, Nose, can we get along, please? Her face was obscured by a long red mane.
Okay, is that a good blooper? Let me...
Pretty-looking pink... Now, Nose, can we get along, please?
Let me... Was that what was kind of coming out of my sickness? No, that was Here Comes the Raggedy. Raggedy. I said that very, like, enunciatingly. Raggedy.
Raggedy rag.
Raggedy yak.
Pretty-looking pink.
Yep.
Her face was obscured by a long red mane.
Okay, so I need to back this up.
Though Applebloom could see she had a pretty look.
Some of these words.
Her face was obscured by a long red mane.
Candymare? From the way that this antagonist is described, it does seem like the Candymare. Let's see. It's now Dad of War. Is Applebloom the antagonist? Okay. Okay, nothing's happened. All right.
Her face was obscured by a long red mane. Though Applebloom could see she had a pretty-looking pink and white striped dress on. Despite looking relatively harmless, something about the filly sent a chill down... Despite looking relatively harmless, something about the filly sent a...
I really like villains in fanfics.
Can you fucking read, you dumb shit?
Although the story in movies and gaming,
Whoa.
and I think putting a villain in fanfics is a fantastic idea.
Alright.
Despite looking relatively harmless, something about the filly sent a...
Okay, I think I got it right on the dot. Let me make sure about that.
Though Applebloom could see she had a pretty-looking pink and white striped dress on. Despite looking relatively harmless, something about the filly sent a slight chill down Applebloom's neck. She had never seen this filly at school before.
Dun dun dun!
Is this Applebloom? Yeah, I think so. She called out, not sure exactly what to do. Filly line?
Okay.
Applebloom just stared back. Why was a young filly this far out of town at this hour?
Which one of the creators in the Grimdarks you read is your favorite, or just what? Which one of the creatures in the Grimdarks you read is your favorite, or just like character? Wow, I've never asked this question. A character.
I think he meant creature.
I'm not a very big fan of Pinkamena nor Rainbow. If I had to choose one, I'd probably think Rainbow Factory Dash. I'm not a Candymare fan. No, it's not for Nightmare Night. Nightmare Night's done.
Filly line? Applebloom just stared back. Why was a young filly this far out of town at this hour? She glanced left, then right.
Originally made, like
Filly line.
Parents in a puppet.
She glanced left, then she glanced left, then
but
she glanced
still,
left, then
I like the idea. Okay.
Delete.
She glanced left, then right, unable to see anything else in the fog before turning back to the filly. Applebloom line? She looked at the fog surrounding them.
You know, like
she looked at the fog surrounding them.
She's a classy pony.
Filly line?
With a British accent, obviously. From Trottingham, I believe.
Dun, dun, dun.
She looked at the fog surrounding them.
What was wrong with this one?
She looked at the fog surrounding them.
Oh, I see what I did. Okay.
So, just get rid of this. She looked at the fog surrounding them. Philly line? Okay, that's fine. Then an apple bloom line comes in and interrupts it. She interrupted. The filly shook her head. No shit, it says interrupted, dumbass. Then an apple bloom line comes in and interrupts it. She interrupted. The filly shook her head. Okay. Why? Oh, sure. Or whatever.
Oh, yeah, I needed that one.
Soon enough. Alright.
Then
an apple bloom line comes in and interrupts it.
You just can't help
She interrupted. The filly shook her head. Okay.
Because with voice acting, when
yeah,
you're
that's a
clearing
Philly
your
line.
throat, it's like you're strangling your own vocal
Apple Bloom's
cords.
found. Apple Bloom's brown furrowed. No. I said brown. Apple Bloom's brown furrowed. Brown furrowed. Apple Bloom's found.
Feel Fluttershy is made
Apple Bloom's
really
brown
scary
furrowed.
in Grimdarks, or do you think other ponies
Apple
are
Bloom's
scarier?
brown. Apple Bloom's brow furrowed.
And Stormblitz said that one.
There we go. Okay, what am I deleting here? Oh my god, I gotta think backwards with this thing. I feel Fluttershy is made really scary in Grimdarks, or do you think other ponies are scarier? Depends on the story. Sparrow, are you going to watch the new Venom movie tomorrow? No, I'm not. I'm not a fan of like those superhero movies much anymore. Hello, Mr. Cartoon Movie Makers. I didn't say my Nightmare Night was done. Apple Bloom's brow furrowed.
Well, Venom's more of a villain, really. So.
Yeah. Apple Bloom line? He's a symbiote. Apple Bloom. He's the symbiote.
It said on the trailer, it's enough superheroes or something like that.
Furrowed. Apple Bloom line? Like the last time I watched something superhero related, it was the new Spider-Man game, which looks absolutely fucking amazing. Like the new Spider-Man game, I watched Jacksepticeye's playthrough of it. Holy shit! Does it smell? Does it smell? Does it look?
I'm gonna say suck then.
Does it look amazing? I mean, from the villains to the storyline, it's just good. It flows well, even though there's a few bugs in there. I also like how Miles is being brought in and all that stuff. That's really cool. It's not just another freaking your average Spider-Man game with the same Spider-Man storyline that we all know very well. Apple Bloom's brow furrowed.
One Spider-Man. That was Tony Parker.
Apple Bloom line? Apple Bloom grunted in annoyance. She fished out Granny Smith's old sewing kick. Whoops. Apple Bloom grunted in annoyance. She fished out Granny Smith's old sewing kick. Ugh. Apple Bloom grunted in response. She fished out Granny Smith's old sewing kit and hurried back to the front door, opened it, and looked out at the filly. She was standing Okay, I think I gotta leave one more bit of audio. Apple Bloom grunted in annoyance. Apple Bloom grunted in annoyance.
In fan fiction. Do you know where I can
Apple Bloom
find Sparrow?
Okay, hang on. Yes you did. I heeded you say that. Heard me say that. I didn't say Nightmare Night was done. I said my Nightmare Night specials are done. Have you read Candy Mirror? I have listened to Emogak's reading of it and didn't care for it. Honestly, it wasn't that scary. I cannot find villains in fan fiction. Do you know where to find any? You gotta be very specific on your choices, like your tags. What would be your reaction if the MLP staff put a pony during the Fortnite dance in the background? I don't play Fortnite, so I don't know what the fuck that is. If you had to pick one, would you say Smile was worse or Rainbow Factory animation? Smile was definitely more gruesome. So yeah, Smile was worse. In a good way, it was. I went on YouTube and I'm surprised there's only one Grimdark or only one fanfic about Tender Taps, and that's your Poltergeist story long ago. So sad. So that would be I'll be watching you. Yeah, that one was fun to act. Only I get to touch you. Only I get to breathe down your neck.
Apple Bloom line? Apple Bloom grunted in response. She fished out Granny Smith's old sewing kit and hurried back to the front door, opened it, and looked out at the filly. She was standing just before the porch, waiting. She hoofed up. Is that a comma? Sorry, there's something on my screen. She was standing.
Oh my god.
She was standing.
Okay, I redid the whole thing.
Opened it and looked out at the filly. She was standing just before.
She was standing. What is a horse doing standing? Okay, villains in film fiction, there's no tag that you gotta think of what tags would have villains in them. Like what kind of stories have villains in them. That's what I mean. Like Grimdark sometimes hard to find because for Grimdark I normally put tragedy, horror, and yeah. Tragedy, horror, and dark are normally the tags that I use for Grimdarks.
She was standing just before the porch, waiting. She hoofed over the basket, and the filly smiled at her. Filly line?
Okay.
She said softly, before she started rummaging through the basket. Apple Bloom watched her from with.
Jesus Christ. Some of the most simplest lines.
Apple Bloom watched her from within the doorframe, eyes cementing a stern gaze on her. Suddenly, the filly's head turned up. Suddenly, the filly's head.
Is that Annie?
Suddenly, the filly's head turned up. No. Suddenly.
Well, the one on top of Apple Bloom, I believe it is. Yeah.
Hang on a second.
Suddenly.
Okay, I better make sure there's nothing in between there. I don't think there is.
Her from within the doorframe, eyes cementing a stern gaze on her. Suddenly, the filly's head turned.
Okay. Okay, originally it was not, but yes, that is Annie. In my perspective, yes, that is Annie. That's just a random picture that I found on Google Images one night, so I used it as the front cover. But yeah, that is Annie, pretty much. Has there been any fanfics on that in MLP, which I will never look up? Yes, plenty. They're everywhere. What's your view?
Yeah.
What is your view on Generation 5 of MLP? All the staff is literally fired, all gone. No, it's not.
We've never seen it. I don't want to see it until I actually see the G5.
My take on G5 right now is it's going in a good direction. It's following a more darker tone, like G1 almost.
Yeah, G1 was pretty dark. It was very dark, actually.
I'm kind of excited for it. Not that I want G4 to end, but I am excited for it.
No.
But that doesn't mean that the staff is just dead. Look at how long Tabitha St. Germain has been part of this freaking franchise.
And actresses like Kelly Sheridan, she's been around since G1.
Eyes cementing a stern gaze on her.
Voicing Melody.
Suddenly, the filly's head turned.
My Little Pony Tails.
Filly
My
line?
Little Pony Tales, which was like Equestria
Apple
Girls.
Bloom eyed her suspiciously.
They're not human, but
how much
they're
was
ponies in a human world.
Apple Bloom eyed her suspiciously.
Kelly Sheridan.
How much was a
plays
small
Melody, and Chiarazani plays Bonbon in My Little Pony Tales.
See,
So
Thomas knows all about this shit. Okay, I like your Grimdark Bittersweet Apple Lakers. I wanted to ask, did you ever regret making it, or glad you did it? At first, I regretted it. I kind of did. Like, what I was doing mainly was I was just kind of experimenting. I wanted to add that shock factor. I wanted to see if I could beat Cupcakes. I wanted to see if I could beat Rainbow Factory. I wanted to write something that would truly leave an impact on somebody. And I think I succeeded.
And I was part of that story, by the way.
So now, I don't regret it. The only scene where I was kind of questioning if I had gone too far was the rape scene.
Oh boy. Yeah.
But, hey, you want shock factor, you gotta do your best. Okay. I like the Rainbow of Darkness. It was awesome. Bill Kiss is correct. Actually, the main actors who do the main 6 won't be voicing in Gen 5. We don't know that yet.
We don't know that yet. I mean, Michelle Creeber could be recasted as a different pony.
We don't know. We don't know yet anything on G5.
Or
all that we know right now
Florida.
is all we know right now is pretty much the concept and who the characters are going to be, the world a little bit. That's all we know. We don't know anything about who's voicing who.
No, not yet.
Apple Bloom eyed her suspiciously. How much was a small amount? Then again,
but
how much could she carry?
Recasting, but you know, actors continuing in G5, but we don't know who they're going to be voiced yet. So we'll see.
And yes, that is what those kind of fics are called, and they are everywhere in fan fiction. Just look up the sex tag and bam, free. Apple Bloom line? Philly line?
Sparrow, what is
said,
your favorite
and trotted
OC
over to the
villains in
barn.
fanfics?
Apple Bloom watched her, walking to the... Give me a second. Sorry, when I'm editing,
She said, and trotted over to the barn. Apple Bloom watched her, walking to the edge of the porch as the filly moved to the barn, quickly rummaging through the tarp. No.
Oh, God.
Apple Bloom watched her, quickly... Blah, 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 blah. She said, and trotted over to the barn. Apple Bloom watched her, walking...
Oh, my God. Okay, don't know where this starts.
Apple Bloom watched her, walking to the edge of the porch as the filly moved to the barn, quickly rummaging...
So that's back here.
She said, and...
Like the fic. Since Gen 5 is directed at a bigger audience, would Gen 5 do blood, or would that not? They ain't gonna do that. Trust me.
I don't think they'll
It's
have
still
blood
a
in it,
kid
no.
show. It's still a
Yes,
kid
yes,
show.
the little girls still watch it, but yeah.
I just naturally look exhausted. It's only 2:28 in the afternoon
Filly line?
for me.
She said, and trotted over to the barn.
Oh. See, simple mistakes like that can happen.
She said,
Okay, I need to back that up. Then again, this could be just
She
one
said
of the
and trotted-
many takes that's gonna come in.
Filly
I mean,
line?
the only threat in
She
G1
said, and trotted over to the barn.
was when
Apple
T-Rex
Bloom watched her,
threatened to
walking...
cut off Spike's head,
Apple Bloom watched her, walking to the edge of...
Okay, let's...
and that was the only threat in Rescue at
get
Midnight
rid of
Castle. So,
those.
but I don't think they'll repeat that this time because, you know,
She
kids
said,
show,
and trotted
little
over
kids
to
will
the
be
barn.
watching,
Apple
and
Bloom watched her, walking to the edge...
yes, we adults will watch it as well, but it's just for the little kids, really.
There we go.
She said, and trotted over to the barn. Apple Bloom watched her, walking to the edge of the porch as the filly moved to the barn, quickly rummaging through... So much freaking words. Okay, that's right. She said, and trotted over to the barn. Apple
There's
Bloom
another
watched
mess
her,
up.
quickly... Fucking dicks, I... She said and trotted over to the barn. Apple Bloom watched her, walking to the edge of the porch as the filly moved to the barn, quickly rummaging around through the tarp and covered straw pile.
Dude.
Quickly rummaging around through the tarp covered straw pile.
Oh my God.
She said, and trotted over to the barn. Apple Bloom watched her, walking to the edge of the porch as the filly moved to the barn, quickly rummaging around through the tarp.
Oh my God. So much shit. Okay. Okay, that's a mess up. That's a mess up. Question is, where does it go?
Apple Bloom watched her, walking to the edge of the porch as...
I think it goes all the way back here.
She said,
Don't hit that home button.
She said, and trotted over to the barn. Apple Bloom watched her, walking to the edge of the porch as the filly moved to the barn, quickly rummaging around through the tarp and covered straw pile.
Damn it.
Quickly rummaging around the tarp.
quickly rummaging around through the tarp-covered straw pile, sitting in the... Oh my god. Author, use commas correctly.
If you're asking me that question...
Applebloom watched her.
The kiss habit?
She said, and trotted over to the barn.
There's so many...
Applebloom watched her, walking to the edge of the porch as the filly moved to the barn, quickly rummaging
G4,
around through the tarp-covered straw pile sitting in the wagon.
Berry Punch.
Jesus
Chili,
fucking Christ.
Spitfire, of course. Who would not miss Spitfire?
Quickly rummaging around through the tarp...
But, yeah.
Quickly rummaging around through the tarp-covered straw pile sitting in the wagon.
Okay, thank God that that desk tapped like that. I didn't... I gave it time afterwards to do that. Okay. Save. I need to keep up with the chat. I'm not doing very good.
And even Moondancer as well, even though she only appeared once.
No, I haven't had anything to drink. I'm just... Well, pretty much if you were at my house last night, you'd know why I'm kind of sleepy. I'm hungry more than anything. I'm going to miss Derpy and Butt Mash the most when Generation 4 gets nuked. Who will you miss the most? Well, if they change Rainbow Dash into a freaking fashionista again, I'm gonna kill him.
Well, I said I'll miss ponies like
I'm gonna miss
Chili,
basically
Spitfire.
I'm basically gonna miss all the characters. Well, not all of them. Like
yeah, sorry, Polymer.
Flim, Flam, Siri Polymer, who's
Lightning
another one?
Dust.
Lightning Dust. They can all go freaking jump into a ditch for all I care.
Yeah.
What happened right here? Show me the money!
Oh, and also Sven Gallop.
That better not be on the end of that fucking line, I swear to God.
I better not be on the other line. Or I will kill these people. Not really. Oh no. Okay, what is going on here? Oh, okay, I know what I'm doing. Yeah, I know what I'm doing. I'm not stupid. I'm gonna miss Luna, of course, a lot.
Pile sitting in the wagon.
She'll always be remembered.
Thankfully, she wasn't too difficult to see in the fog.
She'll be like a statue in G5 now. The legendary pony.
Probably. Seeing Hasbro tends to do that all the time.
Yeah, yeah. And if you think about it, the Castle of the Two Sisters would be the old castle in Rescue at Midnight Castle, because, yeah.
Would you ever do a reading on why I stopped watching My Little Pony on the channel? I was wondering in the monster and what lurks outside of the door. All I know is it has a sharp bite parts, and that's all I know. I don't know much about it either. Like, seriously, that's the mystery of the story. I like when the antagonist is not, like, the monster is not described. Same thing, like, let her in. I don't know what the hell that thing was. Some are saying it was a body snatcher or something like that. I can't remember what they call them. Like a skinwalker, that's what it was. Sparrow, what is your favorite OC villains and MLP fanfics? I don't know any. My favorite villain is Chrysalis.
Sitting in the wagon. Thankfully, she wasn't too difficult to see in the fog. Though from what she could see, the filly was pulling out way more than what should have been necessary to fix the doll. Yet she carried it back to her original spot.
That's
sat down with her back
to that me and Sparrow both agree with. She's 0 in liking to.
Never.
Doll.
Oh, that's
Yet she
creepy.
carried it back to her original spot. Sat down with her back to the porch, and she started working away.
That's bad.
Applebloom line?
Yeah, I'm like the Joker
Philly
that
line?
dies.
Oh no.
Applebloom narrow. Shut up, you fucker.
Jesus Christ. That was my chair. Being a goose. I bet that since they're going to aim for a bigger audience, there's gonna be love relationships. I don't know about that.
Maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. The monster is John Delancey. No.
I mean, look at Lyra and Bombard. See how close they are.
Can I do an evil laugh? Depends on what kind of laugh you want. Apple Bloom narrowed. Shut up, you fucker.
I'm not the best.
Apple Bloom narrowed her eyes. Apple Bloom narrowed. Apple Bloom narrowed her eyes. Apple Bloom line. Philly line. Okay. She bit off the string. She bit it. Apple Bloom was starting to feel uneasy. Apple Bloom line. Of course she was, of course she was. Okay, I think there's a lot of conversation going on right here. Anything evil, any evil laugh would do. Well, I guess I'll just do sinister, because why not? There. Philly line.
That was kind of like my laugh.
She hunched over, stuffing in the straw. And then there's little laughs like... or chuckling. It takes a lot more energy to do an evil laugh than you would think. Oh boy.
I'm just surprised how the actor inside your Bob can do it.
That one's fine, Thomas. You can approve that one. He's referring to the blooper with the chair. Philly line. She hunched over, stuffing in the straw. Apple Bloom line. Okay, that's fine. She said slowly. Ouch, ouch, ouch.
No! No!
Philly line.
No.
Sadly,
no.
Yes. Sadly, I think,
no.
as much as I don't want it to happen, I think it's going to happen.
Give it the zero treatment.
I hope
to
God it doesn't, but I just have a feeling it's going to happen. Can I do a Joker evil laugh? Oh God, unless you want me to kill my freaking throat. Like, I had a friend who could do it perfectly. I can't do it. There's no freaking way. That's fine. I'll just...
We have a controversial thought. Oh, okay. I was in charge here.
Like, Joker takes so much energy. It is unbelievable. There you go.
Only for 5 cents.
Let's see. Say, Sparrow, if you make a story with you in it, would you be the protagonist or the antagonist? I already have my OC story, but he's not an antagonist nor a protagonist. He's kind of like an anti-hero. Like, he's a good guy, but only when he wants to be the good guy.
Yeah.
Technically.
Like the box, if you've been watching.
She said slowly. Okay. Philly line. Her voice.
Along with
her voice became. Her voice became. Her voice became. Oh, my voice. Her voice became noticeably harsher. Okay. Save. God, you never know. Her voice became noticeably harsher. Apple Bloom line? Apple Bloom said sternly.
Ghost Rider.
Philly line? The filly continued, as if Apple Bloom hadn't even spoken. Ow. Okay. Okay, that'll be a Philly line. Then she stopped as if... That was so freaking long. It's because I'm reading over stuff as I go along, so that's probably why. Okay, that'll be a Philly line. Then she stopped as if someone had thrown a switch. No sound passed between them. A trickle of sweat slowly slid down the side of Apple Bloom's face. Apple Bloom line? Okay, that's Apple Bloom squeaked unknowingly. Squeak. Philly line? Apple Bloom paused. Okay. Sparrow, if you watch the Elements of Insanity, what happens if you combine personalities in one body? 6 personalities into one body. You become a fucking god. Insane god. Oh, oops, I didn't mean to do that. Whoopsies. Sorry about that. I did not mean to do that. I meant to say approve, but whoops. You turn into a beautiful butterfly. Apple Bloom paused. The filly was still sitting with her back to Apple Bloom. Only now her head was The filly was sitting with her back to Apple Bloom. Only now her head was looking up, staring off into the distance.
Okay.
The filly was sitting with her back to Apple Bloom.
Okay.
The filly was still sitting with her back to Apple Bloom. Only now her head was The filly was sitting with her back to Apple Bloom. Only now her head was looking up, staring off into the distance. Filly line?
Okay.
Apple Bloom had had enough. Take a drink. Okay. Now we're ready to go. Apple Bloom had had enough. She thrust. Apple Bloom had had enough. She thrust. Apple Bloom had had enough. She thrust her hoof towards the fence gate. Apple Bloom line. Apple Bloom.
Okay. Rare pill, Payna Pine Spar Shout. Okay then. Or worse, your mind goes out of control and when the Batman who laughs on their asses. You're referring to the Killing Joke.
Apple Bloom had had enough. She thrust her hoof towards the fence gate. Apple Bloom line. She shouted. However, the filly didn't budge. Filly line?
What personality would you be possessed by? Me? You can't really possess my OC's mind because he can read minds and control minds.
Apple Bloom had had enough. She thrust her hoof towards the fence gate. Apple Bloom line?
Is that coming from your end or my end?
Had enough. She thrust her hoof towards the fence gate.
Okay, that's coming from your end. Okay, that would have been a problem.
The fence gate. Apple Bloom line? She shouted. However, the filly didn't budge.
He's asking how you doing.
Filly line?
Vic.
No,
Apple Bloom froze.
No.
No, he said, are you considering doing one?
I've done 2 in the past. Not really my cup of tea right now. Or not really my cup of tea anymore, but...
Filly line? Apple Bloom froze. Apple Bloom line?
Okay.
The filly rose and turned. The filly rose and turned. Her face still... The filly rose and turned. Her face still hidden behind her...
Oh my god. Wow.
I was right. The filly rose and turned, her face still hidden behind her oversized bangs.
There you go. Was that so hard? That is what she said.
Is that a common
The filly
phrase?
rose and turned.
Okay, let's do that. Is this a line thing?
Apple Bloom line?
Yeah, it is.
The filly rose and turned, her face still hidden behind her oversized bangs. Filly line? Her voice picked up in pace and tone as she spoke.
My first subscriber was my friend Ashley.
Her voice picked up in pace and tone as she spoke. Apple Bloom turned.
Okay then. I don't know if there's a line right here. I don't think there is. I'll leave a pause just in case.
Her voice picked up in pace and tone as she spoke. Apple Bloom turned and bolted back inside, slamming the door behind her. She braced herself against it, and she attempted to calm her shattered nerves. Filly line?
Okay, it's good.
The voice sounded from the other side of the front door. Apple Bloom line? she screamed, trying to force some bravado into her voice.
Okay.
There was no reply. Cautiously, she lifted up a corner of the curtain. The filly was still sitting where she had been the first time Applebloom had seen her. Only this time, she was looking up.
Okay.
"Filly line?" she said. She braced herself, and like a cat, she leapt up into the air.
Damn cat.
She braced herself and...
I think I retook this. Sparrow, if I was possessed by a personality, I would be Jekyll and Hyde. I would become my normal self in one moment and then become deadly scary in just an instant. My OC has the character Spawn within him, not the piece of shit Spawn. But his dark side is named Spawn, and it's pretty much his soul. Like, there's so much behind his story that it's ridiculous. But pretty much inside of my OC is darkness incarnate, and if it manifests, it's probably the end of the world.
She braced herself, and like a cat, she leapt up into the air.
But it's only if he gets really, really pissed off.
She braced herself, and like a cat... No. She braced herself... She braced herself, and like a cat, she leapt up into the air. Before Applebloom could even process what had just
darling.
Okay, I can get rid of those, because that first one was a good take. Just like Jekyll and
She braced herself, and like a cat... No.
And like a cat, no. No cats. Button mash, best pony. It's midnight, so I'm headed to hay. Check y'all later. All right, see you. Have a good have a good sleep. Watch out for the midnight man.
Into the air. Before Applebloom could even process what had just transpired, the sound of showering glass pierced the air. Applebloom line?
Ah, shit.
She cried out before her eyes bulged in horror.
Watch your mouth.
Applebloom line? She hurried over to the kitchen and fished out Granny's large carving knife, securing it between her teeth. She hurried over to the bottom of... No. She hurried over to the kitchen and fished out Granny's large carving knife. No. She hurried over to the kitchen and fished out... Can't talk. She hurried over to the kitchen and fished out Granny's large carving knife. Securing it between her teeth, she hurried over to the bottom of the stairs, looking up to the top. No. Securing it between her teeth, she hurried over to the bottom of the stairs.
Oh, God, kill me.
She hurried...
It's one of these mess-ups. Fuck. Huh?
She hurried over to the bottom of... No. She hurried over to the...
Okay, I can do... Ow! I can do that. Ouch.
Granny's large carving knife, securing it between her teeth. She hurried over to the kitchen and fished out Granny's large
Okay, so I need to go back.
She hurried over to the kitchen and fished out Granny's large carving knife, securing it between her teeth. She hurried over to the kitchen and fished out Granny's large carving knife, securing it between her teeth. She hurried over to the bottom of the stairs, looking up to the top. No. Securing it between her teeth, she hurried over to the bottom of the stairs. Looking up to the top, she was relieved to see nothing that shouldn't be there. Nothing? Looking up to the top, she was relieved to see nothing that shouldn't be there. She bit...
Okay.
No. Securing it between her teeth, she hurried over...
I think that's fine. It doesn't sound wrong to me.
Hurried over to the bottom of the stairs, looking up to the top. Looking up to the top, she was relieved to see nothing that shouldn't be there.
The fancies of editing, even though it is a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Alright. Hurried over to the bottom of the stairs. Looking up to the top, she was relieved to see nothing that shouldn't be there. She bit down harder on the handle and... looking up to the top. Looking up to the top.
Let me do something like that. So that does.
Over to the bottom of the stairs. Looking up to the top, she was relieved to see nothing that shouldn't be there.
Okay, get rid of that nastiness. Because it's nasty. Nasty.
It's nasty, boy. Nasty.
To the bottom of the stairs. Looking up to the top, she was relieved to see nothing that shouldn't be there. She bit down harder on the handle and slowly...
Hi, Vay. I need to eat.
See nothing that shouldn't be there. She bit down harder on the handle and slowly, she stealthily... Oh my god!
Oh my god!
She bit down harder on the handle and slowly, she stealthily climbed her way upwards.
That sounded so weird. She stealthily.
She bit down harder on the handle, and slowly, she stealthily... Oh my god! She bit down harder on the handle, and slowly...
Oh, god damn it.
She bit down harder on the handle, and slowly, she stealthily... Oh my god! She bit down harder on the handle, and slowly, she stealthily climbed her way upwards. The lights in her room were still on as she approached... No.
I have no idea why it's always Rainbow Dash.
She bit down harder on the handle, and slowly, she stealthily climbed her way upwards. The lights in her room were still on as she approached... No. The lights in her room were still on as she reached the top. The lights in her room were still on as she reached the top. The lights in her room were still on as she reached the top. Aiming the knife forwards, she slowly edged her head around the corner.
Okay, stop. It was either do this or record. And I'm not really in the mood to record right now.
Upwards. The lights in her room were still on as she reached the top. Aiming the knife forwards, she slowly edged her head around the corner of the stairs, resting her gaze on the door to her room. The light from her room was the only source of illumination on the top floor. It spilled out into the hallway, lighting up everything around the doorframe. The first thing she saw were a few toys and dresses.
Scattered.
Around the doorframe. The first thing she saw were a few toys and dresses scattered at the threshold. Then she spied the claw marks, deep gouges that raked the walls, ceiling, and floorboards around the entrance. It all formed a rough trail towards the darkened hallway beyond, just before the darkness. No.
Oh man, that sounded wrong. I hope I redid that whole thing, because that didn't sound like raped. It sounded like raped.
No. It all formed a rough trail towards the darkened...
Was that Chancellor Nace?
It all formed a rough trail towards the darkened...
Oh, shut up. I know.
It all formed a rough trail towards the darkened...
Oh my god.
It all formed a rough trail towards the darkened hallway beyond. Just before the darkness, the filly stood.
Okay. So, back.
It all formed a rough trail towards the darkened...
I need to check, make sure there's nothing else there.
Deep gouges that raked the walls, ceiling, and floorboards around the entrance. It all formed a rough trail towards the darkened hallway beyond. Just before the darkness, the filly stood. Apple Bloom couldn't help but clench her teeth harder. Fuck! Apple Bloom couldn't help but clench her teeth. Apple Bloom couldn't help but clench her teeth harder. Apple Bloom couldn't help but clench her teeth harder around the handle.
Why couldn't I just say that? Good grief.
Apple Bloom couldn't help but clench her teeth harder around the handle, the fur on her brow now matted with sweat. Filly line? The
Okay.
filly said, her voice so soft she almost missed it. Apple Bloom line?
Okay. That's fine and dandy. Alright, save. Sparrow, it's okay, that's fine. So Christmas is being advertised early this year. I wonder why. It always is. Why are you not surprised by now?
Because it's 2 months of, till December. They need to
Filly line?
get their sales
The filly stepped forward.
ready for...
Now she was directly
Christmas
on the opposite side of the
Eve
beam of light,
day.
coming from her room. No.
Yeah.
The filly
that-
stepped forward. Now she was The filly stepped forward. Now she was directly on the opposite side of the beam of light coming from her room.
There you go. That's better. Blythe, calm down.
The filly stepped forward. The filly
Still
stepped
after sugar
forward.
sprinkles.
Now she was directly on the opposite side of the beam of light coming from her room. Apple Bloom's jaw locked in fright. The filly
And by the way, Spitfire kind of let out her sugar
Light coming from her room.
role in...
Apple Bloom's jaw locked in fright.
Oh, what was it? The washouts, that's it.
Closer.
The washouts,
Coming from
yeah.
her room. Apple Bloom's
Okay,
jaw
everybody
locked in
says
fright.
That was sugar sprinkles.
The filly's dress was tattered and torn
And
in
she's
front cake. Fuck.
ticked off, basically.
The filly's dress was tattered and torn.
Oh, goodness.
Without her sprinkles,
The filly's
she goes
dress-
insane.
Drinking through a straw. That was funny.
Yeah.
Apple Bloom's jaw locked in fright. The filly's dress was tattered and torn, its front caked in what were suspicious dark brown splotches, but it was her face that drew her focus. It was withered and wrinkled. It was withered and wrinkled like a burlap sack. Fuck. It was withered and wrinkled like a burlap sack. Her mane had been.
Okay, that's a little better.
It was withered and wrinkled like a burlap sack. Her mane had been pulled back.
Fanfic reading are you
Her
doing
mane
right
had been
now?
pulled back to revel button eyes
Some-
and a
some
mouth crisscrossed with
respected
numerous
consoles,
stitch marks. The mouth opened, straining against the stitch marks like a cage.
It's called Horror at Dusk.
It was withered and wrinkled like a burlap sack. Her mane had been pulled back. Her mane had been pulled back to revel button eyes and a mouth crisscrossed with numerous stitch marks.
Reveal.
The mouth opened, straining against the stitch marks like a cage. It held no teeth, but was instead... It held no teeth, but was instead just... It held no teeth, but was instead just jagged lines that stretched around the muzzle from ear to ear. The mane itself was interwoven with long strands of dried grass and straw, along with gnarled vines falling in tangles all around its head,
Okay.
along with gnarled
And on with the
strands of dried grass and straw, along with gnarled vines falling in tangles all around its head, as well as protruding from various seams in her dress. Then she saw what was behind the filly. In the darkness beyond, hovering above her, were a set of glowing...
Hang on a second. I think I'm gonna add more pause here.
various seams in her dress. Then she saw what...
Yeah, there's gotta be more pause right here.
seams in her dress. Then she saw what was behind the filly. In the darkness beyond, hovering above her,
Oh, come on. There was really a truck or something.
I know how Scribbler
serious right
feels.
now? I did not realize that. Fuck!
behind the filly. In the darkness beyond,
The car
hovering
just
above
zooms
her,
past my
were a
window
set of
while
glowing
I'm trying
red
to
eyes.
record.
She couldn't see anything else, just those eyes. The clattering of the knife escaped her ears.
How in
Filly
the
line?
world am I gonna fix that?
In the darkness beyond, hovering above her, were a set of glowing red eyes. She couldn't see anything else, just those eyes. The clattering of the knife for fuck's sake, people. I swear.
I know you do. A lot.
In the darkness beyond.
There's only one thing that I think I can do here, or try at least. Noise reduction. 30.
There goes Blythe again.
I think it's a little. I think it's a little. I don't know. Let's see. Oh boy. In the darkness beyond.
And she's hosting a party, apparently.
Oh. Oops. I forgot to grab the additional audio. Okay, now noise reduction. Get noise profile. There we go. Oh my god, Thomas, you live in one loud area.
And it's supposed to be a quiet little
In the
town,
darkness
but
beyond,
nope.
hovering above her were a set of glowing red eyes. She couldn't see anything else.
So I have to do that twice.
It's like Scribbler's probably in Australia.
Kinda gets rid of it.
In the darkness beyond, hovering above her were a set of glowing red eyes. She couldn't see anything else.
Me and Scribbler have the same issue.
Well, that seems to be the only way I can actually fix that, and it doesn't seem to affect anything.
What was behind the filly? In the darkness beyond, hovering above her were a set of glowing red eyes. She could.
Oh well, it's gonna have to work. It's going to work.
It's gonna work. I know it's gonna work.
Let's just hope that
just fine, trust me.
let's just hope that the music that's playing over this kind of helps to drown that out just a little bit.
Then she saw what was behind the filly. In the darkness beyond, hovering above her were a set of glowing red eyes. She couldn't see anything else, just those eyes. The clattering of the knife escaped her ears.
Okay.
Filly line? The voice, hollow and deep, came from the eyes. Applebloom's mouth hung open in abject disbelief. Applebloom's mouth hung open in abject disbelief.
Did I redo it?
Is this? Yeah, it's the filly. Filly line?
Okay, I didn't redo it. Ah, dear. Okay, let's see.
Eyes. Applebloom's mouth hung open in abject disbelief. Applebloom's mouth hung open.
Ugh.
Oh, there he is.
I almost pushed home again. God damn it. God.
Eyes. Applebloom's mouth hung open in abject disbelief. Eyes. Applebloom's mouth hung open in abject disbelief.
There we go. Okay, let's just get the... shorten this a little bit. Shorter is the easier
Open
it
in
is to work
abject
with.
disbelief. Yeah, it's the filly. Filly line? The filly took another step forwards. It now stood in the light, and Applebloom could see the stitch marks made from the string of Granny's sewing. Made from the string of Granny's sewing kit. Made from the string of Granny's sewing. Made from the string of Granny's sewing kit, from the jaw to the neck and down the chest. That fuck. La 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 la. It now stood in the light, and Applebloom could see the stitch marks made from the string of Granny's sewing kit, from the jaw to the neck and down the chest that vanished into the... The filly took another step forwards. It now stood in the light, and Applebloom could see the stitch marks made from the string of...
Okay.
It now stood in the light, and Applebloom could see the stitch marks made from the string of Granny's sewing kit, from the jaw to the neck and down the chest that vanished into the dress. From between the stitch marks, she could see the borrowed... From between the stitch marks, she could see the borrowed straw poking out.
Man, that's tough.
From between the stitch marks, she could see the borrowed... From between
From between the stitch marks, she could see the borrowed straw poking out. Filly line. Apple Bloom was frozen with fear. Apple Bloom was frozen with fear. Her breath was lodged in her throat. Her limbs locked.
Okay, the creature mentioned in my fic, I don't know what it is. It's like some sort of demonic feely thing. Hello, Cody. How are you doing? Say, would you make a feels pasta? I don't know what that means. Actually, I'm not really all that active on my Facebook. Literally, what I only use Facebook for, really, is Messenger.
Apple Bloom was frozen with fear. Her breath was lodged in her throat. Her limbs locked. Her eyes glued to the whore before her.
And there's a lip smack.
No, it's not Apple Bloom. Filly line.
I didn't write the story. It's not my story.
Filly line. The voice was getting angrier now. Before Apple Bloom could even respond, the glowing eyes... Before Apple Bloom could even respond, the glowing eyes appeared to dim.
Justin Bieber pony. Better bangs.
Before Apple Bloom could even respond, the glowing eyes...
Remember how sorry we felt for Vincent?
Before Apple Bloom could even respond, the glowing eyes appeared to dim. No, that was... Before Apple Bloom...
ponies that he used to voice.
Save this fucking thing so it doesn't get all screwed up. What am I singing for? I don't know.
Before Apple Bloom could even respond, the glowing eyes appeared to dim.
Okay.
Filly line? A loud, high-pitched scream filled the air, and Apple Bloom recognized... No. A loud, high-pitched...
And Apple... No. No. No, she didn't recognize it. Okay, save again, because we want to save spam like shit. I don't know what it looks like.
Filly line? A loud, high-pitched scream filled the air, and Apple Bloom recognized it as her own. She couldn't will herself to move. The filly creature began to move forwards. As it did so, something started to push from behind its face, pushing out at the muzzle. Fucking dicks. The filly creature began to move forwards.
Okay.
Something started to push from... As it did so, something...
Really? All the way back here?
The filly creature began to move forwards. The filly creature began to move forwards. As it did so, something started to push from behind its face, pushing out at the muzzle, stretching against the wrinkled skin until a sickening terror. Pushing out at the muzzle, stretching against... Pushing out at the muzzle. Something started to push from behind its face, pushing out at the muzzle, stretching against the wrinkled skin. Pushing out at the muzzle, stretching against the wrinkled skin until with a sickening terror. Something started to push from behind its face, pushing out at the muzzle, stretching against the wrinkled skin until with a sickening terror, it peeled away. The face was now a bone-white cone, tapering with a blood... Bleh. The face was now a red-white cone. Bone-white. The face was now a bone-white cone, tapering with a blood-red The face was now a bone-white cone, tapering with a blood-red Fuck! The face was now a bone-white cone, tapering with a blood-red fucking dick! Fuck! The face was now a bone-white cone, tapering with a blood-red tentacle. The front hoofs...
Jesus criminy.
The face was now a bone-white cone,
Big waves
tapering with
there.
a blood-red tentacle. The front hoofs bulged and exploded to refill with skeletal-like blood two-toed claws. What? The front hooves bulged and exploded to reveal skeletal-like two-toed claws. Finally, the midsection straight.
No. Okay, I think that's correct. Fuck.
The front hooves bulged and exploded to reveal skeletal-like two-toed claws. Finally, the midsection straight.
I better make sure it sounds okay before I do anything further. That one's good, it's fine.
The voice was getting angrier
message,
now.
held for review,
Before Applebloom could even respond, the glowing eyes appeared to dim.
Shall I show it or hide it? Oh, it's too late.
Philly A loud, high-pitched scream filled the air, and Applebloom recognized it as her own. She couldn't will herself to move. The Philly creature began to move forwards. As it did so, something started to push from behind its face, pushing out at the muzzle, stretching against the wrinkled skin until, with a sickening terror, it peeled away. The face was now a bone-white...
Oh, there's something right there that I need to get rid of. I said go away. Thank you.
The face was now a bone-white cone, tapering with a blood-red tentacle. The front hooves bulged and exploded to reveal skeletal-like two-toed claws. Finally, the midsection straight... Finally, the midsection... The face was now a bone-white cone, tapering with a blood-red tentacle. The front hooves bulged and exploded to reveal skeletal-like two-toed claws. Finally...
Oh, I know what's going on here. This has to be separated. Gotta keep them separated. Come on, Audacity. None of this bullshit. And of course Audacity's gonna start being an asshole. Oh, great. Here we go. Alright, well that suffices. I'm going to just... Let's see, how long we've been streaming for? About 2 hours. About 2 hours.
Yeah.
That ain't too shabby.
112 minutes.
Okay, so I just gotta wait for Audacity to respond. It does this all the time. This is why I hate freaking updates. With a passion. They only cause problems. I promise it will be nice in a minute.
Twiddling thumbs, twiddling thumbs.
Just respond.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Like, hello there.
Okay, that's it. Thank you. God. You motherfucker, I'm gonna kill you. Recover. God, freaking Audacity has gotten so freaking buggy. It's like fucking one mistake. One teensy tiny mistake. We're not in the right spot.
Okay, that's gonna take a second. So, while Audacity's doing its thing, I'm going to do this thing. It's just because it's such a big file, it's taking forever.
Mulder, best of the young six.
Wow.
She just stands out for me. I felt for the young six.
How's this doing? Oh, I need to set up. There we go. Something happened. No, shut up. Okay, now we're good to go. Need to get the chat again and all that crap. I hate Audacity sometimes. As it likes to play games and I don't want to play games. I want to play, let's get this shit done and let's not fuck around.
So basically Audacity is Discord.
There we go.
Discord, what are you doing to my PC?
It's just because my laptop tends to slow down after a while. And Audacity is buggier than shit anymore. Tentacle. The front hooves bulged and exploded to reveal skeletal-like two-toed claws. Finally, the midsection strained. Finally, the midsection strained and tore. Vines, leaves. The front hooves bulged and exploded to reveal skeletal-like two-toed claws. Finally, the midsection. Finally. Delete. Like two-toed claws. Finally, the midsection strained and tore. Vines, leaves, sticks, and straw all cascaded forth, interlacing together to form an interwoven mess of nightmarish foliage. Foliage? Shit. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm gonna have to look that up. Fuck my life. Okay, I'm gonna pause. Alright. Let's see. Okay. Finally, the midsection. Really? All the way back to that? Vines, leaves. Finally, the midsection strained and tore. Finally, the midsection strained and tore. Finally, the midsection strained and tore. Vines, leaves, sticks, and straw all cascaded forth, interlacing together to form an interwoven mess of nightmarish foliage. It continued its advance, emulating that of an octopus as it undulated. Really? Undulated. I'm pretty sure that's how you say that. I'm gonna look it up real quickly because I got Google Translate open. Undulated. Undulated. Okay, I did that right. Okay. Ouch. It continued its advance, emulating that of an octopus. Pussy?
Yeah.
Okay. It continued its advance. It continued its advance, emulating that of an octopus as it undulated towards her. The sight gave Applebloom the shove needed to force her. The sight gave Applebloom the shove needed to force her limbs to move, but she was still frozen with fear, so that only made her back legs give way.
Give way. That's an error by the author.
The sight gave Applebloom the shove needed to force her limbs to move, but she was still frozen with fear, so that only made her back legs give way. She had been at the top of the stairs. She had been at the top of the stairs, so her retreat morphed into a tumble as she...
It's morphin' time.
She had been at the top of the stairs, so her retreat morphed into a tumble as she... So her retreat morphed into a tumble as she fell and landed upside down at the bottom. So her retreat morphed into a tumble as she fell and landed upside down at the bottom. Top of the stairs. So her retreat morphed into a tumble as she fell and landed upside down at the bottom. At the top, the monster hadn't ceased its chase. It moved down the stairs, climbing to the railings and clinging to the ceiling. Its bony claws reached for her. She didn't scream, but she rolled backwards onto her front hooves before propelling herself up and over to land on all fours. The claws slashed the floor. The claws slashed the floor before she could... Fuck. The claws slashed the floor before... Fuck! The claws slashed the floor where...
Here's the thing right here. I am trying to enunciate slashed, but it's kind of hard sometimes.
The claws slashed the floor where she had been... The claws slashed the floor where she had been just mere moments ago.
The claws slashed the floor. See how hard that is?
The claws slashed the floor where she had been just mere moments ago.
Yeah, Sakura slashed the floor.
Yeah, it's
Sakura
the
slashed
Philly.
the floor.
Philly line. Philly line. The voice shouted from somewhere at the top of the stairs. Applebloom backpedaled until she hit the... Philly line. The voice shouted from somewhere at the top of the stairs. Applebloom backpedaled up at the stairs. Applebloom backpedaled until she hit the sofa. The creature slashed at her and she leapt. Leapt. It's leapt. The creature slashed at her and she leaped. The creature slashed at her and she leaped. This time she wasn't fast enough and a claw nicked her hind leg, drawing an inch-long gash across the exposed limb. She cried out more in shock than pain as she tumbled over the sofa, bounced off it, and landed on the ground.
Doing.
The couch lifted off the ground before being torn in half. Both halves were sent flying as the creature surged forwards.
They'll leave it doing.
The creature slashed at her and she leaped. This time she wasn't fast enough as the exposed limb. She cried out more in shock than pain as she tumbled over the sofa, bounced off it, and landed on the ground. The couch lifted off the ground before being torn in half. Both halves were sent flying as the creature surged forwards. Philly line? The disjointed, unholy voice raged. Applebloom gave the creature a quizzical...
Damn these tongue ties. Ugh.
Sorry about background noise. Okay.
The disjointed, unholy voice raged. Applebloom gave the creature a quizzical look before glancing down at her bleeding leg.
Really?
Seriously?
Bleeding leg.
Jesus
Demon line,
Christ.
or Philly line. It began slugging towards her, and Applebloom backed away. It began slugging towards her, and Applebloom backed away when she... Fuck! It began slugging towards her, and Applebloom backed away when it...
God, my ears. Fuck!
It began slugging towards her, and Applebloom backed away when it stopped suddenly. No. It began slugging towards her, and Applebloom backed away when it stopped suddenly.
There we go. Was that so hard? Sorry about the background noise.
It began slugging towards her,
clapping
and
about?
Applebloom backed away when it stopped suddenly. Applebloom paused. The creature appeared to be straining, but something was holding it back. No, keeping it at bay. Turning,
Is that
Applebloom
hammering
saw
or
the
clapping?
fireplace with the fire still crackling away. She turned back to the creature, its body heaving. Beyond, she could make out the frustrated growls of the voice. Then her gaze zeroed in on the dry foliage that stuffed its body. Slowly, the warnings Applejack had given about the dangers of draw returned. Fried fucking dicks. Slowly, the warnings Applejack had given her about the dangers of dry straw returned. One corner of Applebloom's mouth turned up. Slowly, the warnings Applejack had given her about the dangers of dry straw returned. One corner of Applejack had Slowly, the warnings Applejack had given her about the dangers of dry straw returned.
Okay.
Slowly, the warnings Applejack had given her about the... Slowly, the warnings Applejack had...
There was always a mistake.
Slowly, the warnings Applejack had given her about the dangers of dry straw returned. One corner of Applebloom's mouth turned up. Applebloom line? The voice didn't respond. Applebloom line? Applebloom pointed at its body. Looking up at the creature,
I was probably reading through, making sure that something... Yeah. Something didn't, yeah.
Its body. Looking up at the creature, she became confident in knowing what she had to do. The creature backed away, whilst the voice kept silent.
Whilst the voice kept silent. Seriously, how hard is it to say that?
The creature backed away. Keeping her eye on the thing. Keeping her eye on the thing, she reached over to... Keeping her eye on the thing, she reached over towards the woods pile. No. The creature backed away, whilst the voice kept silent. Keeping her eye on the thing. Keeping her eye on the thing, she reached over to... Keeping her eye on the thing, she reached over to the wood pile and selected a thin log. Then lifting it up, she stood on her hind legs, keeping the bulk weight of... Then lifting it up, she stood on her hind legs, keeping the bulk of weight off her damaged leg. Fuck. These are written very weirdly. Then lifting it up, she... Then lifting it up. Then lifting it up, she stood on her hind legs, keeping the bulk of weight off her damaged... Fuck! I had it! Then lifting it up, she stood on her hind...
Good grief.
Then lifting it up, she stood on her hind legs, keeping the bulk weight of... Fucking dicks. I hate this! Sometimes. Then lifting it up, she stood on her hind legs, keeping the bulk of weight off her damaged leg.
Jesus Christ.
Then lifting it up, she stood on her hind legs, keeping the bulk of weight off her damaged leg. Damaged fucking hell's bells. Then lifting it up, she stood on her hind legs, keeping the bulk of weight off her damaged leg. Damaged fucking hell's bells. Then lifting it up, she stood on... Then lifting it up, she stood on her hind legs, keeping the bulk of weight off of her damaged leg. As she unwrapped her scarf and...
The heck
her
is
damaged leg. As she unwrapped her scarf...
Oh, I know what that is. That's the table. That's like that kind of noise.
of weight off of her damaged leg. As she unwrapped her scarf and... As she unwrapped her scarf and wrapped it around the end. As she unwrapped her scarf and wrapped it around the end. Then she stuck it into the fireplace. The scarf caught instantly, and she lifted off. The scarf caught instantly, and she lifted on the log, holding it up like a torch. The scarf caught in. The scarf caught instantly, and she lifted on the log, holding it up like a torch. Apple Bloom line? Apple Bloom said calmly. To her surprise, crying filled the air. To her surprise, crying filled the air. To her surprise, crying filled the air. Philly line? The voice sobbed. Apple Bloom hesitated for only a second before she moved the burning torch closer. Apple Bloom line? She warned. Philly line? The voice screamed at her. Then as if yanked by a fishing line, the creature Then as if yanked...
I remember I had trouble with this one.
Then as if yanked by a fishing line, the creature abruptly blew. The creature abruptly flew backward, and the fuck. The creature abruptly flew backward and up the stairs out of view. The creature abruptly flew backward and up the stairs out of view. Apple Bloom's head arched up towards the ceiling as she leaned. Fuck. Apple Bloom's head arched up. Water, please.
Water, please.
Apple Bloom's head arched up towards the ceiling as she listened to the pandemonium raging upstairs, as furniture and walls were destroyed. No, that was very cracky. Apple Bloom's head arched up towards the ceiling as she listened to the pandemonium raging upstairs, as furniture and walls were destroyed.
Very cracky.
Apple Bloom's head arched up towards the ceiling as she listened to the pandemonium raging upstairs. No. Apple Bloom's head arched up towards the ceiling.
I couldn't get this line correct at all.
Apple Bloom's head arched up towards the ceiling as she listened to the pandemonium raging upstairs, as furniture and walls were destroyed. Philly line? The voice screamed over and over before the cacophony? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how you say that. But just to be fucking sure, we're gonna fucking do this shit again. I'm sure it's cacophony. Cacophony.
See? I always double check for you guys.
Okay, it is right. Okay. The voice screamed over and over before... But just... Apple Bloom's head arched up towards the ceiling as she listened to the pandemonium raging upstairs, as furniture and walls were destroyed. The voice screamed over and over. The voice screamed over and over, before the cacophony abruptly ended with an explosion of splintering wood. There was a muffled thud from outside and hobbling over the front door. Apple Bloom threw aside the curtain to watch a fuzzy blur disappearing into the fog. She opened the door and waited until it was gone. Suddenly, for reasons she couldn't quite explain, she felt a pang of sympathy for it. Though she didn't know why.
Okay, save.
Save.
Really? Every little action that I'm gonna do, you're gonna... Yeah, don't.
Know why. Apple Bloom line? Philly line? The voice screamed from somewhere deep within the fog, tearing through the night air. The voice screamed from somewhere within the fog, tearing through the night air.
Wait, what?
Know why. Apple Bloom line? Philly line? The voice screamed from somewhere deep within the fog, tearing through the night air. The voice screamed from somewhere within the fog, tearing through the night air. The voice screamed... The voice screamed... The voice screamed from somewhere within the fog, tearing through the night air. Silence reigned once more. The voice...
Oh.
Tearing through the night air. Silence reigned once more. For a moment.
Yeah, that's nastiness. Flutterschmooze is a very... It follows a series of stories that you need to read in order to understand exactly what is going on. So that's the best way I can describe it. It's like very H.P. Lovecrafty because the author takes a lot of inspiration from Lovecraft.
It's rained once more. For a moment, Applebloom just stood there. All around her, the fog was retreating. The glow from the town was visible from the tops of the trees once again, while in the sky above, the moon now illuminated the night with its pale, white glow. She watched as the filly finally vanished from view before... heading back outside, retrieving her makeshift torch. She watched as the filly finally vanished from view before heading back outside, retrieving her makeshift torch. Retrieving her makeshift... Retrieving her... view before heading back outside, retrieving her makeshift torch. She carefully roamed... Fuck! Retrieving her makeshift torch. Retrieving her makeshift torch. She carefully roamed the house, once again punctuously, checking the locks on all the doors and windows. She paused at her now ruined bedroom.
Yeah, I don't know why my voice was just dying or something like that. I don't know.
She paused at her now ruined bedroom. Everything had been destroyed. The bed, the wardrobe, her toys. One corner of her mouth rose around the torch it held, exposing her teeth. One corner of her mouth rose around the torch it held, exposing her teeth as a muffled snarl escaped. Her eyes roamed over the exposing her teeth as a muffled snarl escaped. Her eyes roamed over the shredded remains of her best dresses. That monster deserved no sympathy from her. Her eyes roamed over the shredded remains of her best dresses. That monster deserved no sympathy from her.
There should definitely be more pause right there. We're really gonna do this again. Oh wait, never mind. Forgot there's no additional stuff there.
Of her best dresses. That monster deserved no sympathy from her. Of her best dresses. That monster deserved no sympathy from her. All her pretty dresses, all her favorite toys, gone. The sound of her front hooves slamming the door echoed throughout the night.
Slamming the door?
The sound of her front hooves slamming the door echoed throughout the night. How dare it accuse her of being selfish? How dare it accuse her of being selfish? Echoed throughout the night. How dare it accuse her of being selfish? Truly, it was the selfish one. Apple Bloom surreptitiously, yeah. Apple Bloom surreptitiously scratched at the gash on her leg. Apple Bloom surreptitiously scratched at the gash on her leg. Trotting inside, she stopped at the massive hole that had once been a wall and gazed out towards the town of Ponyville. How long did her family plan to be staying at Sweetie Belle's house? Didn't they?
Technically, it's rarities.
And gazed out towards the town of Ponyville.
Technically, you are correct.
And gazed out towards...
I like your take on Annabelle. Did you know there are other possessed dolls? I heard it from other list videos. Yes. There's the World War II doll. I can't remember that one's name. It's like Tom or something like that. But Annabelle is the most evil of them all.
Hole that had once been a wall and gazed out towards the town of Ponyville. How long did her family plan to be... How long did her... Towards the town of Ponyville. How long did her family plan to be staying at Sweetie Belle's house? Didn't they realize she had almost been killed? How selfish of them. She paused and thought. Sweetie Belle. She had staggering amounts of pretty... She had staggering amounts of pretty dresses and her toys. She had staggering amounts of pretty dresses and her toys. Oh. She had staggering amounts of pretty dresses and her toys. Sweet Celestia, did she have lots of wonderful toys. She smiled. They were best of friends after all. Apple Bloom was confident Sweetie would share some with her. Apple Bloom was confident that Sweetie would share some, if not all of her toys with her best friend in the whole world. Sweetie Belle wasn't selfish, and with all of her own toys and dresses destroyed, she'd understand. Sweetie Belle was not selfish, and with all of her I can't get this last fucking line. Sweetie Belle wasn't selfish, and with all of...
Sweetie Belle wasn't selfish, so that's where this starts.
Apple Bloom was confident that Sweetie would share some, if not all of her toys with her best friend in the whole world. Sweetie Belle wasn't selfish.
Okay, so I gotta get this one correct first.
She smiled. They were best of friends after all. Apple Bloom was confident that Sweetie would share some, if not all of her toys with her... Apple Bloom was confident that Sweetie would share some, if not all of her toys with her best friend in the whole world. Sweetie Belle wasn't selfish, and with all of her Sweetie Belle wasn't selfish, and with all of her own toys and dresses destroyed, she'd understand. Sweetie Belle was not selfish, and with all of her I can't get this last fucking line. Sweetie Belle wasn't selfish, and with all of her own toys and dresses destroyed, she'd understand. No. Sweetie Belle wasn't selfish, and with all of her own toys and dresses destroyed, she'd understand. She'd understand. Sweetie Belle wasn't selfish.
God damn it.
No. Sweetie Belle wasn't selfish, and with all of her own toys and dresses destroyed. Sweetie Belle wasn't selfish, and with all of her own toys and dresses destroyed, she'd understand. She'd understand.
Okay.
Toys and dresses destroyed, she'd understand. Toys and dresses destroyed, she'd understand. own toys and dresses destroyed, she'd understand.
Okay. So that's it for this one as far as the editing goes. Alright, save project. And that's all I'm gonna do for now.
Alrighty.
Alright, let's see. I like it. Okay, I've been seeing a lot of Silent Ponyville. Have you thought about making your own version of the story? Silent Hill really isn't my place to go into. Silent Hill is a very well crafted story. Like, it's a very well crafted story that needs to be done correctly. And I honestly don't know much about Silent Hill other than that it's very clever. Alright, so I think I'm done for now. So, thank you guys for tuning in and keeping me company.
No worries.
We can talk afterwards, Thomas. I'm just gonna get off the computer.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna. So thank you guys for joining me, and yeah, until the next stream. Happy horrors and happy spoops, and have a good October. I will have something coming out in 6 days. Don't worry, I'm gonna be doing Month Macabre this year. I've got something coming out on the 10th, and then the 29th, 30th, and 31st will be the Halloween special. So, look forward to that. So anyways, guys, until next time, happy horrors and take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.